Hello and welcome back to the Hazzabhajan YouTube channel. It is Harry here, and today it is time to do another one of my videos where I look at teams from a specific league or a specific competition in a certain season and see what they're up to nowadays. And today it is the turn of the inaugural season of the 3rd Division North, all the way back in 1921. The concept of the 3rd Division actually came into being in 1920-21 as 20 new teams competed to win promotion to the 2nd Division, something which I actually didn't know before I started to look into doing this video. The teams all came from the Southern League of 1919-20, barring Cardiff City, who went straight into the 2nd Division and whose place was taken up by Grimsby Town, meaning that they were the first club to ever be relegated to the 3rd tier of English football. However, for the aforementioned 1921-22 season, 20 new teams, 18 of whom were based in the north, were added to the Football League, whilst the other 2 were from the south. The Football League decided, instead of making a 4th division, to split the 42 teams in the 3rd division into a Northern and a Southern League, and it is the former which is the focus of today's video, as I'm going to provide you with each of the 20 teams who took part in that inaugural 3rd Division North campaign and see what has happened to them in the years since. So without further ado, let's do just that. Accrington Stanley, dissolved. This version of Accrington Stanley was the replacement for the one that participated in the first ever season of the Football League back in 1888 and the predecessor to the modern day Accrington Stanley that competes in League One. This 1921-22 season would be their first in the Football League, and they finished in 5th place, although they were closer to 19th and re-election than they were to the team who finished in 1st, and they were members of the 3rd Division North for every single one of its seasons from 1921 until 1958, as they never won promotion nor failed re-election. However, they were drowning in financial turmoil in the early 1960s, and in 1962 they became only the 2nd club to resign from the Football League midway through a season owing to their significant financial troubles. They were accepted into the Lancashire Combination Leagues, but just 4 seasons later they were declared bankrupt and were forced to fold, with the new Accrington Stanley coming into being in 1968. Ashington, Northern League Division 1. The northernmost team to ever play in the Football League, Ashington came in 10th position in 1921-22, although they would hit hard times before too long, dropping into the non-league game in 1929 after losing re-election to non-league York City. They've never made it back into the Football League since, only attempting to be re-elected into it twice, once in 1947, when there wasn't a vote for some reason, and again in 1950, when they received no votes whatsoever. They have been spending their days ever since 1929 therefore in various regional leagues, and right now they are in the Northern League Division 1, which is the 9th tier of English football, and they were in 12th when the season was abandoned. Barrow, League 2. Like Accrington, Barrow spent all of the 31 Division North campaigns in it, marking their debut with a 15th place finish, but they dropped into Division 4 in 1958 when the two 3rd Division leagues forged together to make Division 3 and Division 4. They lost re-election in 1972 to Hereford, who were riding high on their shock victory over Newcastle United in the FA Cup that year, and it took until 2020 for Barrow to finally return to the Football League once more, after they won the truncated National League season to be promoted into League 2. They were constantly embroiled in the relegation scrap this season but managed to survive by 5 points, meaning that their stay in the Football League will be extended into next season. Chesterfield, the National League. Chesterfield are the first team in this video to have actually participated in a Football League season prior to 1921, as they spent 10 years in Division 2 between 1899 and 1909, but after 3 successful re-election applications, they finally lost their place in the Football League in 1909 after Lincoln City received more votes than them. They were returned in 1921 for the new 3rd Division North and finished in 13th, but they would never make it to the 1st Division, with their highest league finish of all time being 4th in Division 2 in 1946-47, and in 2018, their 97-year stay in the Football League came to an end after suffering a 2nd successive relegation to the National League. They haven't come back since, and they lost in the playoff quarter-final this season 3-2 at the hands of Notts County, meaning that they have been consigned to a 4th consecutive season outside of the Football League. Crewe Alexandra, League 1. Since I already covered Crewe Alexandra in great depth with a video looking at the original 2nd Division teams and where they are now, a video which I will leave a link to in the description for you to watch, I won't profile them too extensively here. The Railway member the team who finished in 6th place in that 1921-22 season, and this year marks the 100th anniversary of their time in the Football League, and they celebrated it by coming in 12th place in League 1, their highest league finish since 2006. Darlington, dissolved. A club whose descent into financial meltdown probably deserves an entire video unto itself. Darlington spent every year from 1921 until 2010 barring one in the Football League, but they collapsed spectacularly in the mid-2000s after their owner, George Reynolds, moved the club into a 25,000-seater stadium in his own name that they couldn't actually afford to fund, and after 3 separate administrations, the club went under completely in 2012. In the season in focus for this video, they would come in second place by 0.6 goal average ahead of third, but it took 3 more years for them to achieve promotion to the second division for the first time, spending 2 seasons there before being relegated, and they would never return. They reformed in 2012 and have since worked their way back up to the National League North, although the Darlington of 1921 arguably no longer exists. Durham City, Northern League Division 2. It's fair to say that Durham City have fallen a fair bit since the club's heyday in the 1920s, as they ply their trade in Division 2 of the Northern League, which is tier 10 of the English football pyramid, and at the point when the 2020-21 season was abandoned, they were in last place, having accrued just 1 point from 13 games. Their highest ever league position was actually achieved in this 1921-22 season when they came in 11th, although over the next 6 campaigns they finished in the bottom 3 on 3 separate occasions, finally failing the re-election process in 1928 and never returning, and since 1953 they have been in some iteration of the Northern League. Grimsby Town, the National League. Like Crewe Alexandra, Grimsby Town took part in the very first Second Division campaign as well as the very first Third Division North season, in which they finished third, although as mentioned earlier, they were one of only 2 teams who weren't a new addition to the league that season, as they had been relegated from the Second Division in 1919-20 and were a part of the inaugural Third Division season in 1920-21. 100 years on, and they've just been relegated to the National League for the second time in 11 years, and Mariners fans will be hoping that it won't take them 6 years, like it did last time, to return to the Football League. Halifax Town, dissolved. Halifax Town had only been around for 10 years when they were invited to compete in the inaugural Third Division North season, but they would end up in 19th out of 20, meaning that they were put up for re-election, but managed to survive it. They spent the next 71 years in the Football League, but by 2007, by this point in the conference, the club went into administration owing to debts of over £2 million, including £800,000 on taxes after the administrator failed to reach an agreement with HMRC, and the following year, the club was wound up. Merely 2 years beforehand, in 2006, they had lost the conference playoff final, and it makes you think about the fine margins between promotion to the Football League and just missing out on it, and how the team that triumphs may go on to prosper in stark contrast to the team who loses, and what can happen to them in the years that follow, especially in our current climate, a problem that is perfectly epitomised by Halifax's plight. Although admittedly, the team that beat them in that conference playoff final was Hereford, and they too have since been dissolved. Hartlepool United, League 2. More well known these days for being the beloved club of Gillette Soccer Saturday host Jeff Stelling, Hartlepool United, now known as just Hartlepool United, were ever present throughout the 31 seasons of the Third Division North, and in the 1921-22 season they came in 4th, which would turn out to be their highest league finish until 1956. They couldn't break through the Third Division barrier and into the Second Division once during their 96-year tenure in the Football League, which came to an end in 2017, although just a couple of days ago as of the time of this recording, they managed to beat Torquay on penalties in the National League playoff final, despite Torquay's goalkeeper scoring a 95th minute equaliser to keep the Gulls in it, to win promotion back to the Football League after the 4-year absence that they have endured. Unbelievable, Jeff. Lincoln City, League 1. Another team who reached the playoff final, Lincoln City reached the League 1 version, but they lost it to a resurgent Blackpool side who have been freed from the shackles of their former owners, the Oystons. Lincoln aren't the best when it comes to playoffs more generally, as between 2003 and 2007 they finished in the League 2 playoff spots every year but never won them, and they have actually never won promotion via the end of season extravaganza in any division. Back in 1922, when playoffs weren't a thing, the Imps ended up in a lowly 14th place, although in 1932 they would return to Division 2 for the first time since 1920, but a place in the top flight has still eluded them for now. Nelson, North West Counties League Division 1 North. The joint lowest ranked current team in this video alongside Durham City, Nelson are not really a club that their namesake would be proud of. They have folded and reformed twice in their history, once in 1899 and again just after World War II, but in between then they spent 10 seasons competing in the Football League, of which the 1921-22 season was their first. They came in 16th before claiming the title the very next season, spending their only year in the second division in 1923-24, but they lost their re-election bid to Chester in 1931 and went under in 1936 owing to huge debts. Their reincarnation currently competes in the North West Counties League Division 1 North, which is not only a mouthful, but also the 10th tier of English football. Rochdale, League 2. Rochdale are a club who hold many distinctions, although most of them aren't very good, as they spent the most seasons in the Football League without ever being relegated to the National League or being promoted to the 2nd tier, and they resided in the 4th tier for 36 straight seasons, which is a record unto itself, unsurprisingly. This is their 100th consecutive year of being in the Football League, as they were admitted into the 3rd Division North in 1921-22, but they didn't really make a good impression of themselves the first time around, as they came in last but successfully reapplied for membership to keep their place. Southport, National League North. Despite the name, Southport are based in Lancashire, making them most definitely not from the south, although it is a coastal town, so at least half of their name isn't actually misleading. The Soundgrounders were one of 15 teams who voted to cancel the National League North season in February, while sitting in 17th place, 2 positions above the reincarnation of fellow 3rd Division North inductees, Darlington. Back in 1922, they were the team who finished in 9th place in this probably famous campaign, but after 57 years in the Football League, they came in 23rd in Division 4 and have failed to win promotion back after 43 years of trying. Stanley Bridge Celtic, Northern Premier League Premier Division. Stanley Bridge Celtic were one of 3 teams who had accrued 41 points by the end of the season in 1921-22 alongside Ashington, Stanley and Crewe, but they had the worst goal average out of the trio, meaning that they had to settle for 7th place. By the end of the next season though, they resigned from the Football League altogether, citing the low attendances for their home games, which meant that they would be financially unable to sustain continuous Football League campaigns, despite their attendances actually bettering quite a few teams in their league. They joined the Cheshire County League where they remained for the next 60 years, and nowadays they compete in the Northern Premier League Premier Division at Tier 7 of the English football pyramid, finishing the truncated 2020-21 campaign in 19th. Stockport County, the National League. Stockport County were the other team to have been in the Football League in the 1920-21 campaign, as they became the 2nd team after Grimsby to be relegated from the 2nd Division in 1920. However, they almost made the 3rd Division North season completely pointless, considering they were the ones who ended up winning the whole league by 6 points ahead of 2nd place Darlington. They lasted 106 years in the Football League from 1905 until 2011, when they were relegated to the conference for the first time, even participating in the National League South as late as 2019, but as a result of new financial backers, they are on the rise once more, finishing in 3rd in the National League but losing in the playoff semi-finals to eventual winners Hartlepool. Tranmere Rovers, League 2. Yet another club who came close to spending exactly 100 years in the Football League, Tranmere were relegated to the National League just 6 years before they reached that milestone back in 2015, although they have reached as high as League 1 since then, suffering relegation on a points per game basis in 2019-20 after the League 1 season's cancellation. Their debut season in the Football League was in 1921-22, but they only came in 18th place, just about managing to avoid the re-election process by virtue of having 0.099 better goal average than Halifax Town in 19th. Walsall, League 2. The final club who took part in the first season of both the 2nd Division and the 3rd Division North to feature in this video, Walsall had spent 20 years in the wilderness before they were invited back into the Football League for this 1921-22 campaign. They completed the season in 8th and stayed in the division until the 1958-59 campaign when, as a result of finishing in the bottom half the season prior, formed a part of the inaugural season of the 4th Division. The season that has just concluded saw them finish in their lowest Football League position of all time of 19th in League 2, and they'll be hoping that they can arrest the slide and keep their 101 consecutive years in the Football League going. Wigan Borough, dissolved. Not only were Wigan Borough the youngest team in the league that season, but they were also the first out of all of them to go up the wall, as on the 21st of October 1931, with the effects of the Great Depression hitting them severely, they resigned from the Football League and immediately folded with liabilities of £30,000 and having been unable to pay their players' wages for a while. They spent the previous 10 years as mainstays in the 3rd Division North, coming in at 17th in 1921-22 and finishing as high as 4th in 1928-29, but a year after their collapse, Wigan Athletic were founded to replace them, and it took until 1978 for the region to have a team in the Football League once more. Wrexham, the National League. The final team to feature, and thus filling in 12th place given that it is the only position in that season yet to fill, Wrexham were one of 2 Welsh teams in the Football League at the time alongside Cardiff, although the Bluebirds were quite a few steps ahead of Wrexham as they were in the First Division. The team who won the Welsh Cup more times than anyone else with 23, Wrexham spent a few seasons in the Second Division in the late 1970s and early 1980s, although they hadn't been in the Football League since 2008, finishing in 8th in the National League this season and missing out on the playoffs by just 1 point. And that's what wraps up today's video, looking at every single team who took part in the inaugural season of the 3rd Division North back in 1921-22 and what has happened to them in the years since. If you enjoyed it, of course, like the video, subscribe if you haven't done so already, ring the bell so you get notified whenever I upload a video, and if you really want to, you can comment on what you think of the video, or maybe other ideas in other leagues that I could maybe cover at some point in the future. But thank you very much for watching this video, and until next time, I will see you then.